which is our native um, buckeye, the Aesculus californica, which is a really early drought deciduous tree, and the foliage persists for many months. So most people wonder what it's doing in the garden and if it's alive, and it is. Um, we have a couple of black oaks here, Quercus callagii. They like to be up in our mountains at 5,000 feet. They like snow and water and sharp soils, and so they're an anomaly down on the valley floor. That's it's branches coming through there, yes. And have a Davis Gold Toyon here. So it has the orange berries and not red berries.
And this is the Howard McMahon again? Is that
This
what you
is the
said?
Howard McMahon
And you have a
manzanita.
lot of them.
Yeah, I have. It was like a framework plant.
When is this going to roll out?
It is hopeful. Our intention is a year from fall. So we have another 12, 14 months. You would be potentially getting a beta version in another 3 to 4 months. Started on the landscape plants for California gardens. And so what we've designed here is a website that has a variety of menu items. It ranges from a plant finder that lets you select plants that fit single or multiple criteria here. So I just went to California native. We have currently in the database 162 plants. I'll say I want the deciduous ones. It reduces that list down to 37. Importantly, what you'll find is we ask people to type in the zip code of the project or the area they're interested in, and they'll find that we're in Claremont, Climate Zone 19, Wickles Region, South Inland 4, and we have a map that shows us this location, and we superimpose our climate zones on this map. We can do it differently. We can go to our image gallery, and you can see that as defaults to A, you can see all the pictures and plants we have in this database based on images. You can go to that plant, read about it, and you can then look through the pictures in a slideshow type format to really zoom in. And so what will happen, all these images will become available through an image service.
Like a library pack? Or...
That's correct. So it's going to be there available. They're available different resolutions. When we download a profile on a plant, so we'll show you that in a moment. Each plant that you can select and you can add it to a list for a plant palette, create any number of plant palettes you want and planting lists to use in your CAD drawings. Part of these, again, some people will search by criteria. Some will want to look at pictures. Go back to the plant finder for a moment, and let's just say you start to type something in, like red flowers, and it prompts you, and I can now do this, and this will give you every plant that uses the word red flowers, orange red flowers. It's the universal Google search of words, word fragments, and then we give you, images of all these plants that fit the red flowers. So the keyword lets you type in virtually anything. You can say carbon footprint. You can search it in those ways. But importantly, we provide palettes of plants. And so we go to the Coast Live Oak palette, we select it, and I describe it, talk about its needs and adaptations. This is the list of plants that we associate with the oak tree. We're still building, as you can see. We can go off and we can read about these plants, see their pictures when it's popular. This is one of those imprinting things. When you get to a palette, we talk about its water needs, its climate zones, where it fits in the state, and we have our trees, shrubs, ground covers, and vines, and we're implying to you, think this way.
Right, right.
Do not think about a plant out of context. And at the end of the day, let me go back to, let's put in, so I'm going to go to Anaxanthus Big Red, and when you're through, these are listed on flowering perennials, container plants, hummingbird plants, and it's associated with this, the sugar gum palette. These plants are networked everywhere, so you'll not ever be able to avoid seeing a plant as a single plant.
That's great.
We think about it as single plants, but we're going to nest them, network them, and put them into context all the time. So we go to Acacia Baileyana, read about it, get its information, talk about its water needs. We'll have irrigation charts for this, and then we show again what are the lists that this tree is on, and go to flowering trees for a moment, and we list all of our flowering trees and their water needs, and you can go in here and you can say, okay, let's sort this into red flowers, or let's get rid of that and let's sort it into purple flowers. You can have so many angles of access that we're thrilled about. We don't know if that's overwhelming or not.
It is not. It's amazing.
And you can just, these images here, we're just, you can again go now through a slideshow and look at images of these plants that are flowering trees. And
or just it can open up to even younger students that are just learning.
Yeah, we're really trying to grow the profession, or we're always finding that we don't have enough applicants to our landscape programs, and this can become adapted for social media or career day presentations and activities. So this is a garden we design, and here are plants from the garden. You can discover immediately which criteria is the odd one out or the deal breaker. So many people want to come to these sites and ask for the purple flowering succulent that grows without soil, because they're trying to find a solution to an impossible planting, and they'll learn very quickly there aren't any.
How do you come up with the names for the plant palettes?
We use the first part is the tree. So that tends to be the anchor plant, the bones, the longevity. It's the climax species in natural environments commonly. So it's the hub. And then you build down from that. And yet there will be, when you get into cacti and agaves and aloes and succulents, there will be palettes for those plants without trees, to shrub palettes, to theme palettes, Mediterranean gardens. And
are you going to do themes that aren't based on plants, but more like, let's say, therapeutic garden?
Eventually, yes. And this type of project will allow me to live to at least be 200 years old, and I can finish some of that. It would be wonderful if what we can accomplish here and essentially provide as an open site project, and we say, look, we need $2,500, $3,000 to set this up. Well, those few dollars are important dollars to us. We can do a lot with that. And we'd like to look for both corporate and professional sponsors. And if we can get 40 sponsors at $500 a year, that's $20,000. And on our scale of economy, that goes a long way.
Taking steps to continue this legacy project. or make it a legacy project?
Well, we definitely see it as a legacy project, and everything from trying to incorporate into the organization of the information and pictures a learning system here. There's a networking framework that is also being implemented that's linking landscape architecture magazine, garden design, Pacific horticulture, those the articles and information, so that you access it from here. It's a system that's a hub again, connecting you to nurseries, connecting you to the Department of Water Resources and their WOCL's information. So we envision it to be a legacy that's built upon networking a lot of information together around the world of plants. And we do think it's intended to be one of the first models of getting our profession to come together and connect and interact in a variety of ways, and learn things, exchange things, contribute case studies, and it is a model we've thought about in those ways.
With architects in a certain area, so people can kind of
Oh, interesting.
message each other.
Well,
and
that's exactly,
keep up with each other.
those are the ideas. That's a new idea. Yeah, it can become a clearing a bulletin board almost, and
Also people become invested, and then you see their face, and building a community.
wow, that's great. You can use it in that way, but you be fresh to it, and you see other things, and for you, Margaret, in particular. You're starting on your journey of learning plants in California. This may not be available as much as my book for the next year, but you bring that perspective to how this site can be fitted and designed to really assist you in what you're trying to learn and do.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the site being up and running.
Yeah, so are we. So it's like,
If you need people to test it, or you can always use us as guinea pigs.
well, that I'm putting my list together, let's say, and when I say 3 to 4 months in that, knowing that we'll get some good feedback.
So, look at those hanging plants.
Yeah, come on over here and look at the epiphyllums and other.
Wow, look at this.
That's an epiphyllum too.
I've never seen
Yeah.
this.
It's one of the native species that seldom flowers,
Yeah.
so it's more of a texture plant here.
How long have you been growing these?
Oh, for a few years. No, I was really, as it turned out, I was thrilled because this back area didn't have definition to it. This is sort of our woodland garden zone. But by moving this structure over here, it really worked out nicely to use some of the lumber to create the shelving and place for these potted plants. And small seedling out in the front yard we go out and see, and it's in more shade, so it's just starting to flower, and I want to put a couple more of these around the garden for, we have so many butterflies.
That's the cassia.
I'm sorry?
The cassia.
Yes, uh-huh. I think the only thing that we struggle with are the squirrels. They're a little bit too quick on getting fruit and vegetables, and yeah.
Are those the most problematic?
Yeah, they chew on things. They chew on the succulents during the winter because they're looking for anything to harvest, and it's disappointing to get into trees. And they, between their claws and chewing, they'll chew off the bark on the tops of branches. And some trees more than others, but they damage the plants that way. Like some of the smaller branches.